Hi, Johnny. Welcome. I'm just getting the tech stuff going and making sure. Hopefully, this time I'm not going through Rumble Studios, so we should have some more cameras working better this time. Hopefully. So just trying to get it's just more steps, of course, to have to work through. Let's see. Put this on. That is there, so I want this not to share that yet. Okay. All right. So we still have a few more minutes. I'm just, oh. Okay. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Not quite sure. Sorry about that if I burnt your ears. Make sure you want, hold on, let me give you that to speak. There you go. Go ahead, dear. Probably easier at the moment. Are you able to hear me now? I gotta turn you up. I hope it doesn't start the feedback. Try again. I'm starting to hear you. Okay, good. Ooh, okay, so I gotta keep that microphone over there. All right. How you doing, dear? Well, hopefully things are going to be doing better than the last few weeks and or a couple weeks there of no camera. So hopefully we can make this work. Have you been enjoying the sunshine? Oh, good. Good. It got a little cool here with I guess the CME's coming through now. Okay, here I want to screen share. Well, I'm glad you were able to join us, and make sure you put your county in the chat for us so we can. And I gotta. If I don't do that for myself as well in the next few minutes, will you pop up and remind me to, please? Oh, in Telegram. Oh, let's see. Okay, so when you hover and it gives you for your mic and camera. No, I guess that's not it. Let's see. There's going to be a chat. How does that work? Let's see. Let's go to big. Oh, no. I don't know. Okay, so I'm not. That's great. We've used chat before. I don't know why we're not able to. Maybe because it. Let me stop screen sharing and see if that gives a. Nope. Let's see. Let's see in the settings if I can. Well, that's crazy. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know that too. That's been helpful. Okay, so Telegram doesn't, at least for whatever, maybe the way I said it, maybe it was because I had to do it as a pop-in real quick or something, that for whatever reason, Telegram, I'm making notes as well so we can kind of help keep each other informed. No chat function in the call. Okay. All right, but you're on, what county are you on, Johnny? Hendricks. Okay, I'll make sure I'm noting it right now so I can get you on the record. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. That is so helpful. You really don't know how much that's helpful. Okay. All right, let me get this back to screen sharing here, share this so I can go ahead and hopefully start getting some of this going. I want to make sure I've got camera going. Yes, I've got a camera on OBS, so that will give camera for Rumble, YouTube, Odyssey. It's saying I'm streaming through Telegram, but I had to do a separate thing, so I don't know. Let me go ahead and, because I'm going to screen share through free conference call. Let me move this over here. Now it's going to look funny at first till I hopefully, once I get this reset, let me close that out, but it'll pop that up. I've got that up, and free conference call, I want to, it'll be desktop sharing and then go straight through then OBS. Okay, so, all right, now let me get, hold on. Let me stop that a second. Let's see. Why doesn't it let me? Oh, that's big. Okay, can I do no video on free conference call? So it should still do video though with Telegram and OBS capturing it. So we should still be okay there. So I'll do screen share. So we should still be able to pick that up. So hopefully, as those that pop into free conference call are able to give a heads up, so I hope that should be fine. Let us know in the chat. There I can do a chat, so I'll put in so that everybody can hear. All right. So that'll be in there. Okay. So now let's screen share on. I want to pull up the desktop for it with the presentation. I'll do a quick walkthrough on this. Okay. All right. So, Johnny, are you able to see the website? You see multiple screens still. Okay, let me try. Okay, hold on. Would be helpful for you if you can't see it. Okay, so let's try and stop screen sharing. We'll clean that up for a second. All right, I don't know. I can't minimize that further. All right, this should be better. And I can then bring that down a second. Okay, now let's see. All right, so right now in YouTube, we'll get this, at least they can be able to have this sharing, screen sharing in OBS. So there is something up, there should be audio there. I'm not really able to see chats right now, so maybe someone, if they're, I'm not able to see the chats in Rumble and YouTube as I was with in Rumble Studio. So, but we're getting a camera going, so we're trying to work one step at a time here. All right, so let's try the screen sharing again. This should, how's that for you? Are you able to see it now, Johnny? Oh, great. Okay, progress. Woo! Okay, and thank you so much for helping me. That has been tremendous to be able to have someone on the other side to make sure that things are transferring over. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. So let's go ahead. I'll end up getting over to the Assembly website to talk a minute on some things there anyway. But since we took a few minutes with trying to get everything going, we're going to go ahead and get the assembly call started. So I want to welcome you all. It is Monday, June the 10th, 2024. I'm Christine Van Pelt on Gibson County, State Coordinator, Lead Recording Secretary. And the Indian Assembly, Jural, and Militia Assemblies are in session, and we want to take a moment to honor our Creator. And while many of us have some struggles with the Bible today because of a lot of the what's going on with religion, there are very many points that are still valuable in there that are supportive, and we were given I've always seen it as our instruction book to be able to help support us through all this craziness. It's going to tell us about the bad just as much as telling us about the good. So things we want to remember then is that because by the word of truth, and it's not the word necessarily of the words from the Bible of quoting verses back to people. It's about being truthful in your own words. In your own words, be truthful. And you'll have the power of God, because then you're going to have the armor of righteousness on the right hand and on the left, because you're going to hold truth within your heart. It doesn't have to be where you've memorized and quoted Bible verses. You're going to have God's law on your heart, and you're going to be able to show that through your words. The words that you express as well as the words that you allow to come in. Because even though you think the words are coming in here of what other people are saying, you're still taking it in because you have to digest that at some point as to what they're saying. Are you going to agree or disagree as to what you're hearing from the outside? So while many times Bible verses are quoting the word, it's not referring to scripture words. It's about your words that are coming from your own mouth. We have the I am presence with us, so what comes out of our mouths is what's coming from the I am presence as well. Remember that. So we want to put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the assaults of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against the worldly governors, the princes of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness which are in the high places. Think about what's going on today. This is from the 1599 Geneva version. What's changed? We're going to read the Declaration of Independence this evening before we go into this evening's reading on Ex parte Milligan, and remind you that even in 1776, the same thing was going on, and just as what was going on when Jesus walked the earth as to why he was hung on the cross, because they chose Barabbas over Jesus. The people chose Barabbas, the liar, the convicted, but the true criminal, the one that was actually a criminal, not one that was falsely charged of being a criminal, right? They were choosing the false criminal, or the false life, to be able, because it was easier, it was free to be able to do other stuff. But it all led with lies to each other. So Anna has reminded us which one of the commandments is thou shalt not bear false witness, right? Well, bearing false witness is a lie against, whether it's a lie against someone else or a lie against yourself. It's still a lie. A lie is a lie, whether you think it's a noble lie or a gray lie, as some people call it, or it's a white lie. It's to help. A lie is a lie. And it's because we've accepted the lies, which means we've allowed false words, the words of falsehood, into our mouths. And then we've allowed to then repeat those lies out. So Anna, in her article 4704, Confirmation of Truth, she tells us, so teach yourself not to lie. Be truly fearless. Because when you have the truth, when you're walking in truth, you have the power of God with you. Just think about that. Okay, so here is this week's the agenda. Most of this is also our reminders so that you have them. Read through them, even though you've read through them 50 million times. Read through them again, because this has been corrupted for more than 150 years. So you're not only trying to break through your programming, you've got generational programming that you've got to try and help others to be able to come to the same space here, right? So a lot of this, even though it seems boring and repetitive, it's important. It's for that repetition for you to be able to learn what's going on. After the call, when I upload the presentation and post it to the website, because that's where I'm going to put who was joining us on the call in their counties, and I post this up. These are all links to those pages, so you'll be able to go right there to do that. All right, so let's move forward. All right, so the Bivens decision. Get to know this. You're going to hear this everywhere you go. If you want to know what the case law is regarding this, it's Bivens versus 6 unknown agents, 403 U.S. 388, 1971. And you can always copy and paste that in your browser to be able to read that case in full. This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, there we go, about lying, right? Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, which is another bigger word for lying about someone, bearing a false witness against someone. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting that is a member of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the first time? Comment in the chat. It's not that you're not welcome to be here. It's just that present yourself. We would like to be able to at least help try and, see how we can be able to show you, the history of what actually happened, but you need to present yourself honorably. Hearing and I'm not seeing anything. Okay, hearing and seeing none. Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the second time? Hearing and receiving none. Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the third and final time? Hearing and receiving none, which also means that this also carries out through the entire meeting, even though if you were waiting till after the first part of the call to get through this to be able to then attend, you're still bound by being asked this. Further, anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premises. And are you now or have you ever received money or personal support of any kind from the intelligence community? Isn't that interesting that we're having to make sure to bring that in as well? All right, so we'll go ahead and get And keep going here, make sure we get the disclaimer in, of course. We are engaged in the practice of self-government. Everyone here is volunteering their precious time and skill. Each one is an American with rights and prerogatives equal to your own. They're doing this work out of mutual necessity to restore the lawful American government. And it's not a corporation, so we're trying to also work around our everyday lives to try and be able to help everyone, and not just for right now, but to be able to help for the future. So demands for service, temper tantrums, and misplaced anger are inappropriate. And it's inappropriate regardless, because that's just not how Americans handle themselves. This country does not belong to its government. This country belongs to the people who live here, and you're one of them. And we wouldn't even behave that way to our employees. We would hold them accountable. If we need to hold their feet to the fire, we need to hold their feet for the fire. But it's how you handle yourself and present yourself. A reminder that nationality is a birthright. Assembly membership is a choice. So it's not a free-for-all to be able to come in and think you're going to be able to just come through and change, and turn it into something else. We have our plan, we have a mission, we have processes that we need to just start implementing, and everyone needs to just be mature, roll up their sleeves, and let's get to work. And so we have to set that tone, right? Everyone coming together, united, holding that tone. All right, so we'll have Ex parte Milligan. I'm going to, just before that reading, though, I'm going to go through a few moments on the website, some updates that I've done over the last couple days, and info about the militia. And just in case, because it is Indiana and the weather can change every few minutes, and storms can roll in rather quickly, and we are right by a railroad, so in case internet hiccups or anything, we're set to adjourn to June 17th at 6 p.m. Central for the next General Assembly, and June 24th at 6 p.m. for the next Jural Assembly. A reminder that we cannot fail. We are willing and able to do this work physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We have resolve and determination. We walk the talk and work every day to bring the de jure into reality. We have excellent tools to complete our work. We set realistic goals and achievable goals. We learn and research constantly. We have a timeline. There's no reason why it can't be done this year. We track our progress. We measure our strengths and weaknesses. We continually improve and revise accordingly. We conduct ourselves with peace and love. Now, peace and love is not platitude and slippery kindness. Peace and love can also sometimes having to be straightforward and clear. Now, if you get your feelings hurt, that's really, truly not the intention. It's trying to help you see that you got to get clear on what's going on. It's serious. It's important. We're trying to bring forward change, right? And this is what all the coordinators on the 50 states. This is our mission that we go through, and we share it with our assemblies, because every one of us in some form or fashion are having to come together as a coordinator as well, because just as we're all a part of outreach, so we have to coordinate how we're going to be able to make this a commitment of supporting however we can that fits within our lives for the assembly, so that it's not just for the assembly, it's for what it means. It's for that bringing forward the people's courts, the bigger picture, and being committed to that. We're all having to coordinate that within our lives. Okay, you may need to look up the term coordinator to get a clearer view of what a coordinator does compared to a manager or a director or of that sort. There's various information there on how to identify infiltrators that you can go through there, as well as read the articles. The Assembly mission statement: our Indiana Assembly is dedicated to the restoration of complete and fully operational land and soil jurisdiction, state and county court systems serving the people of Indiana. Take note, it is our county courts, our land and soil county courts, are the Article 3 court that we're owed. But we have to get the state in play so that we have that plan and outline for the counties, as well as so that it gives the counties time to get enough people together to be able to fill their courts. The preservation of the national trust, the enforcement of the public law, the upholding of the federal constitution owed to our state and people, the repopulation of our land and soil jurisdiction, the filling of vacated public offices. Those are the different offices that we have listed, even for the assembly roles, for the assembly chair, the assembly treasurer, and those sorts of things, right? Because those are the public offices. And the reclamation of our material and intellectual public and private assets. To these ends, we, the living people of Indiana, have called the eligible Indiana nationals and citizen electors to assemble and to serve as jurors and officers, and we have established the process and procedure to qualify jurors and others competent to hold state citizenship in public office. And we had the processes and procedures have already been established. We're not crafting something new. Okay, it's already been. We just have to make sure somebody has to uphold the standards. We're finding and getting verification how many in the de facto received no act, didn't follow through with their own oaths or bonds, did not receive Senate or presidential confirmation as they should have, were not given any kind of special direction, things like that. That's not how it works here on the land and soil. And we do this peacefully and without rancor in the exercise of our unincorporated powers and capacities. And pay attention, is others competent to hold state citizenship in public office? How many in the de facto? Number one are dual citizens, which would already eliminate them from being able to even be eligible or to sit and hold those offices. And then we're all part of outreach. Our mission is to help people understand who they are, why they were misidentified as U.S. citizens of the United States, and provide a solution by correcting their political status. Joining the Indian Assembly, including the home county assembly, which should come by default once your county starts growing as well, which you'll be going more to your county assembly calls, obviously, than you would state assembly calls, but once county assembly calls are in play, there won't be as many state assembly calls that need to be dealt with, because the counties will be doing their thing, right? And but then you still need to come to the probably quarterly or semi-annual or annual state assembly calls, so that you're still actively a part of that, because you're still, even though you're supporting your county, you still got to support on the state level, because it's we the people, right? And becoming actively involved in restoring the Republican form of government we are owed. We do this through a combination of consulting, facilitation, and training services that provide the optimal benefit to the future American. To assist future Americans, we offer a range of opportunities designed to live to walk like an American, going through high-impact video conferencing, turnkey political correction process, web-based libraries, local and state assembly meetings, continental marshal and deputy program, state and county committees, that sort of thing. Everyone has an opportunity to be able to support within the committees as a whole, like through the General Assembly is considered a committee of the whole, but then to work on the smaller committees that the whole puts them to work to, then you want to have that knowledge coming together to be able to focus on how to bring it peacefully to a positive resolution. Value statements: we stand under the laws of nature, the laws of nature's God, the Ten Commandments, the Declaration of Independence. We accept the fiduciary responsibility of the Indiana Trust and operate under the prudent man standard, meaning we treat our state business as if it were our own business. We keep the peace and uphold the public law. We report crime. We value each man and woman as a unique creation of our Creator, and we willingly choose to self-govern. We willingly choose to self-govern. We willingly choose to self-govern and strive to show up as our best self. As our best self, not just showing up to see how we're going to be critical of others. How can we come forward as our best selves to bring it forward so we can connect with each other, and how we can bring peace and harmony within everyone within our community and across the state. To show up as our best self in each and every experience so that we can start bringing peace and harmony together with us. United. We do not and we will not condone or participate in any form of insurrection, rebellion, or creation of armed forces other than lawful state assembly militias operated as they're supposed to be operated within each state, and our land-based Continental Marshal Service, which is our jurisdictional interface with the U.S. Marshal Service. So we have the Continental Marshal Service, and then there's the U.S. Marshal Service. We perform under, this land and soil, I say we. The Continental Marshal Service is a federation level. It's not state. It's not a state Continental Marshal Service dealing from that perspective. Because that way to have that kind of jurisdictional interface. We perform under the treaties and constitutional agreements already established and for supporting the restored American government. And it's the American government. We're not restoring or reconstructing the U.S. government. We're restoring the American government. The reconstruction thereof, and will become responsible for the conduct of the restored Confederation and Federal Republic. So we'll become responsible for the conduct of how it is restored, right? We, the people, are putting it together. Here are important Indiana documents for you to be. Some are supportive. Some are to be able to help for you to keep beside you. Some are so that it helps you through various things on a regular basis. Some that you're going to complete and email as a PDF to records@theindianaassembly.org. And like, for example, here's the committees, the way we work, so that gives you more detail into the various committees so you can see what's involved with them. So if they're whatever ones you might be interested in supporting, there's an email going, or there will be an email through the email news server that has the list of the General Assembly committees right now that we need to start filling. So I need you to start checking which committee, the General Assembly. We've got to start with the General Assembly, start filling up the committees on the General Assembly so we can get this build moving, okay? And within the presentation, it identifies the what roles for nationals, what roles for citizens, what documentation is required. All right, and verification and vetting does occur, especially even if you're wanting to go into an elected or appointed official role. And you will have to complete all 3 lessons of the new member orientation and the Sign in America training course. Information of that is in the new member orientation training and through the emails. And call to public office, more details about the different individual offices as well. So you can start seeing of things, because we've got to fill the offices as well. So anything that you are interested in there as well, let me know. Email, so we can start getting the ball rolling, because we've got to make sure, get you verified, qualified, and then to be able to move forward if there's those that need to go before the assembly for things. So if it has to be presented on a ballot for a vote, we can get that moving. or just at least so that we can start bringing people together for the different committees. We need at least 3 people on each committee for the committee to start working. Okay, so say for example, you had 3 people that are totally qualified, eligible for the vetting committee. Okay, so those 3, they're going to need to be citizens, and then the treasurer would have to have a background check, but I don't think that the chair has to have a background check. But has to have the citizen status, all of the documents completed, and then that committee can actively start building. Okay, and then as nationals come along and other citizens, they can start adding to that committee as well. So just some ideas on that, but we've got to start filling the committees and filling the actual separate office roles. Okay, and then there are roles within each of the committees, but they're chosen within that committee to be those main roles within there. So it's not like they have to go through the assembly for that process. Here's important links to be able to help you. Law of Peace. Just like there is a manual for the law of war, there is an Army manual for the law of peace, and there is the full PDF. Here's also PDF Common Law Community Training Manual, establishing the reign of natural liberty, the common law and its courts, and it goes through a full perspective. It's only a 27-page, I think 27-page read, but it gives a lot of good procedural processes to work through to help start the courts process. Here is Ex parte Milligan, a link to it, as well as we've been going through reading. I didn't update the pages on this part. I should have just left this one here because I've got it updated. I probably didn't need to update the agenda. Anyway, I'm going to need to update the pages before I post that for you all, so it's corrected. Okay, and then important articles from Anna. You got 3 choices. Reminds you there's the state assembly, district assembly, municipal assembly. So things to think about as well. November 11th, 2024. The American family, those all across the country, are planning to come together in Philadelphia at Faith Monument. And I got to make a note on that, get the Eventbrite link on that. Because there's no fee, it's just more of getting a head count. And see, that's what most people don't realize is when, like when the assembly sends out an email, like for the new member orientation, even though it's like signing up for it and everything, it's more of also because we've got to have a record of the head count, and we can verify what county that we need to make sure that you're on an Indiana county. This is not, we are Americans. We're coming forward. You have to be open and up forward. You answer things like this for other stuff, right? So think of the sign up for new member orientation would be something similar to this. There's no fee, but there's some information so that we can, have an idea of who all showed up, right? All right. We are on Telegram, which we are streaming through there as well. That's our channel there, as well as we have new member orientation channel on Telegram. So make sure everybody taps into that as well. And we have monthly new member orientation calls. There's 3 lessons. It was it was broken into 6 lessons, and it had been condensed into 3 to try and minimize time for people, just to get some bare bones basics to be able to start getting you some help to be able to start supporting on the assembly. Clout Hub, I haven't been posting to that, but we do have it out there. So maybe those that are, because it's more of just posting things, they don't have there's no streaming option. So that may end up, I don't know how, if anybody is using that, give us some feedback on what that's like. And then Linktree has all the web addresses for the assembly, as well as like for the free conference call, everything that goes through free conference call, it also then goes through, oh, I need to make sure that I need to check that, so that it goes over to the podcasting thing. So hopefully that'll catch that and feed that there. All right. So anyway, the link for the podcast is there. All right, so here's some reminders of what the actual 3 branches of government are supposed to look like. And this is the portion that we're supposed to have been filling. So you'll want to print that out and get a better gist of what our role is as we the people, literally us the people on the land, are supposed to be handling. All right, so I'm going to leave this for you to be able to read more, give you more details about the 4 pillars, the General Assembly, all Indianians that live on Indiana today, and dealing with state and local issues, business assembly, estate citizens only, and this means you have to have presented all your documentation. It's not just about the choice of being a national or citizen. The citizen status is that there's also that duty. And so then that means presenting all your paperwork that verifies that you are a citizen to hold that standing. Jural Assembly, everyone is a participant with the jural as a part of the jury pool. Even if you haven't presented your status correction, there is a talesman process to qualify you to still be able to participate with the jury. You just wouldn't be able to be like, well, hold at one of the offices within it, like justice or recorder or things like that. And everyone is a part of the militia. So in your LRO member record, which you should have, everyone has to have, even if you don't want to publish your documents there, you still have to present published documents published from somewhere. But even if you don't want to publish there, that's the main directory of all those on Indiana that have presented paperwork, or at least have spoken out that they want more information about the assembly and the process, as well as if you're wanting ASN credentials. That's the only way that they're issued is through the LRO. All right. And again, General Assembly is the driver, and this evening's call is for the Jural Assembly. And it goes into more details there. Here's a pictorial that also shows you what offices are needing to be filled within the pillars. Okay? So right now, we need to focus on getting the General Assembly offices filled, and we need to get the General Assembly committees going, because it's the General Assembly that drives all the others. Okay? The General Assembly, the militia will come from it, the Jural Assembly will come through it, the Business Assembly will come through it, right? So we need to get the General Assembly offices filled and committees moving. And there's another chart that shows whether an ASN or ASC for the various roles there. All right, so I haven't updated since, I've got to update that. All right, I did update it, I think, in the general. All right, and so I'll just move that over. And that's slide 25. Okay. But that's showing you the counties that are in green. At least one Indianian has presented at least the bare minimum for that county, so it's populated that county. Yellow, they've at least presented an email saying, can you send me more information? And whether they've done any more from that or not, they've at least acknowledged that they want more information. And then all the white, of course, no one has spoken up. So your duty, your role is, as a part of outreach, is that whatever county you're in, just start reaching out next to you. And if you're in a yellow county, especially, start reaching out to your county and try and help to get as many recorded on the county as possible. And here's a listing of how many are nationals, how many are ASNs, ASCs, federal persons, and so forth. Link information about Prosperity Card is going through the Global Family Foundation, Global Family Network. You will want to make sure that you have an account. You'll have to present documentation there. It's not directly connected with the assembly. It's not it doesn't assign a public record number, because you have to show that your documents have already been publicly recorded for them to accept them. Okay, so you can't get them notarized and think that they're going to be that recording secretary to publish it for you on that aspect. You still have to come and it's still not presenting to the assembly. That gives you, they still have to see that you don't have to have presented your status correction to the assembly, but you have to do the land and soil jurisdiction documents, have them notarized, and they have to be somewhere on a public record. And you have to present that as verification. But you would not be eligible. You still have to have an LRO member record in coming through the assembly directly to be able to receive ASN credentials. All right, so calls to actions of making sure that you're getting the emails, you're opening the emails. I am still, it's not through the same email process or even for this aspect, but it's the same general concept. But the email reminder that comes from Terry, that's for Anna's Monday night webinar, okay, it is still going into spam. I still, every time I go and click report not spam, and it still goes right back into spam. And it's been several weeks now I've been doing that. So you just got to keep track of your spam and your junk mail and promotion folders, things like that. It's part of the tech warfare, using the algorithms against us. So how are you going to holler at an algorithm? All right. And we're looking for ASNs, ASCs to step up to volunteer for committees. We've already talked about we're working to build the General Assembly committees and filling General Assembly offices right now. Looking for ASNs and ASCs, it's not the regular vetting processes for working on committees, but you still have to at least present your status correction as an ASN or ASC, but volunteer to support with any tech support that would be able to help us with being able to, whether it's moderating in the chats on the different platforms, or if it's helping to work all the tech aspect and all that kind of stuff. Anything like that, please speak up, help us out. This link here's a train going through. The link here is a folder to several documents, including the Soul Survivorship template, You have to have status corrected to be able to use that, but it also has the notices that you can send out to attorneys, things like that, or those that are trying to tax you of sorts, right? And the American Relief and Remedy full document that you can be able to print out include as well. That's on that American Relief and Remedy is also part of the Debt Redemption Center on the Assembly website. Okay, yeah, I do have to update that page, those page numbers there, and that's 28. Okay, so before we get into that, we're going to come over here, and we're going to come over to the, hopefully, yeah, you should be seeing that on Telegram, which should be showing on Free Conference and everywhere. Yeah. Okay. All right. So when you go to theindianaassembly.org, it will redirect you to states.americanstatenational.org/Indiana. So you can also, if you are on this 50 states website, clicked on Indiana, it'd bring you here as well. The assembly pays for the domain, theindianaassembly.org, and then I have it redirected here so that all the assembly important information for the assembly that's directly related to the assembly is stored on the Federation server using their website and everything. And then at home on Indiana is then separate for the goods to be able to help support directly. And if you go here, here is a button here, donate, and that takes you to At Home on Indiana. You have options here. You can either do one-time payment, you can have either a set amount, or you can use whatever amount if that works better for you. You can do one-time, monthly, or yearly. You'll have to select what you want. Or here are selected ones that you can set it up this way. Then if you didn't really like those options, you can then click here. And it takes you over to the Square website, and then you can do different amounts if you wanted to support specific things. I need to put one here that's for printing and paper costs. The cover for ink and copy paper, because even though you all send your paperwork, a physical copy has to be kept for the assembly record. So I'm making copies for that, the printer ink for that, and the paper. And then we're also supposed to be keeping the county copy as well until the county is able to take their records as well. So it's not only the digital copy, but a physical copy has to be maintained. So I think I'll be adding that up too. But so here are other areas if you wanted to support, directly in different things. Also, right now the main thing that needs some major help is the technology fund, because that's the current use right now of anything coming in. And then it also has the link that goes over to the Indiana State National shop. It's the At Home on Indiana. So you'll be able to have that information go to shop, status correction, documents, services, things like that. So I wanted to give you those, that's in there for you, that you can be able to go for those options to help support the assembly. All right, because this also then brings us to that when you're on the assemblies, the IndianaAssembly.org page, if you go to status correct, just hover, read declaration, it takes you to the Declaration of Independence. And we're going to read this. Let me get some water. Because we need to be reminded. We're constantly getting barraged with what's in the Constitution, But it's the Declaration of Independence that we're actually need to get back to, right? All right, so take note. It's called the Unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. And it's lowercase united because all the states actually came together. The people on their states came together and they started talking with each other on their states, and then the states came together to start talking and coming together united. Right? It wasn't that it was a whole big thing for united. It was because they were united together. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Okay? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. The consent of the governed. That's the key piece. They have to have your consent. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Yeah, it may affect your safety and happiness to be able to bring this change forward. But we have that right to be able to bring the change forward. So sometimes there's going to be rough waves and rocky hills to walk over to be able to get through, right? Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer. They'd rather suffer while the evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they're accustomed. Because that takes work, right? That takes too much to do. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it's their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having indirect object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let the facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass their laws for the accommodation of large districts of people unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right unestimable to them and formidable by tyrants only. Now, so far, have you noticed, right now we've seen the word representation, right? We haven't seen anything that reflects, at this point, democratic republic or democracy in any way yet, right? He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of the public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He's dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such disillusions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise. It's back to the people. The state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. And that's what we're seeing, right? He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, because they're always trying to pump everybody into being a resident of their municipal citizen as a resident of their state, or a territorial citizen through the IRS zip code enforcement, right? For that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners. To purposely obstruct the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. Well, they're trying to tell people you should be grateful and happy to give up your home to these illegal immigrants that are flooding through here. You should be happy to do that. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He is combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution, and which is putting us under as being the employee of the Constitution that's outside of our jurisdiction of being the landowners, the ones that are the employers that created the contract with the Constitution, and acknowledged by our laws giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. What's this whole RICO thing been about? It's because they can't find anything actual, tangible of any wrongdoing, so they're doing it by basis of RICO. They're pretending. They're coming up with false information to try and place that blame. For abolishing the free system of English laws in the neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. And so what have they done? They've made sure that it went from we, the people, to us. Doesn't include we. Just saying. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. For example, still haven't seen anywhere where it says a democratic republic or democracy anywhere in here yet, have you? For suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with powers to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. Federal government's fighting with the state governments as to every single thing that is actually that we the people are supposed to be doing, because we haven't stood up to take care of it ourselves, so that they're totally not doing what their own responsibilities, because they're too busy trying to manipulate and control us. And as long as you keep consenting and doing it, you let it. He has abdicated his government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. They've waged war against all those they're presuming are U.S. citizens. That was right there on January 21st when they did the inauguration, when they were in the rotunda, and Pelosi was standing in front of the U.S. flag hanging inside that cell behind her with the rope. They were stating right then that anyone considered a U.S. citizen they're at war with. If you go back in assembly calls, new member orientation, outreach, training calls, even from back at that time, you'll see I talked about it. I took screenshots through. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, dissolution, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He's excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. What do you think we're going through right now? All ages, sexes, and conditions are being destroyed. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting any attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindreds to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They, too, have been deaf to the voice of justice and of contiguity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity. If you're going to acquiesce to anything, acquiesce to the necessity which denounces our separation. It's a separation. And hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives, again, says representatives, it doesn't say democratic republic or democracy or Democrats. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the supreme judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right, ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, that they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And then this right here, the very last line, this is what I put with my photo, contact information in my photo. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. They pledged. They didn't just say, hey, yeah, I'll show up, and then never show up, right? They actually pledged their lives and their fortunes for their sacred honor. We're seeing that even with Trump, right? I'm not saying because that's their thing, but it's still a visual being played out. We're literally seeing Joe Biden is Barabbas and Trump is, so to speak, Jesus. Barabbas is the one that has been found left and right guilty. We all know he hasn't been found guilty of, but we all know there's evidence of his treasonous activity and his lies, a history of lies. It's not about old age syndrome. This is about a history of lies and his history of being a traitor, right? A history of this. A history of wrongdoings, a history of doing it for personal gain and making a profit throughout this whole process, right? He has a history of it. It's not just happened within the last decade or two. And so he's that true Barabbas, the one that's actually guilty, whereas they brought forward Jesus, where they brought forward a false witness, a lie, bringing him forward to the people of whether picking which one to hang. Trump, in a sense, is in the moment like Jesus in that he's been falsely accused and convicted, falsely, of things made up. Every bit has been made up. Albeit everything is boomeranged, but that's how the Lord works to be able to make that happen. So, just some things to put into perspective. Okay. So we've been through a walkthrough on the website. There's much valuable information. Again, we've gone here for the declaration, and you'll be able to find also all 3 constitutions as well as the 2 Indiana constitutions linked here as well. So great reads to be able to help support you. So find your way to the website. Here's also where you can go to the 50 states, the Union State site to go directly. And even if you clicked on Indiana there, it'll take you to the Assembly's website. If you have someone that lives on another state, they can go here and make sure they connect directly with their state coordinator. All right, so I've got to update this page because we're going through pages 24 to 30 on this one. So we'll go ahead and stop the screen share here. And it should still, oh, hey, we got others on the call. Please make sure you put your name and what county on Indiana in the chat so that we can be able to make sure that you're on the record with us. So please make sure that you add in that for us. And because I'll be updating the presentation to include you for the record. After the call. All right. And so this time I'm going back through OBS how I had been and then streaming through things because the last few weeks of using Rumble Studio, I wasn't getting any any visual, any presentation on Rumble or YouTube, because all of that was streaming through there. So, so I'm going back through here and not going through Rumble Studio right now, so we can be able to get some of this back up. Okay. All right. So here is. I'll take a minute here, let the train get past its loud part. Want to welcome again. Make sure you put in the chat what county that you're on. Okay, you know this. This is Land and Soil, right? And this is about helping each other to be able to start talking with each other, because to be able to start bringing things together, to be able to bring a change, you got to start being able to talk to each other. You got to start looking at each other, coming together, right? All right, I think it's through with at least the main part, so we'll go ahead and get this going for our time. I'm not sure if you're able to hear it. Hold on. Here we go. I'll restart it. Pardon. I hope this won't. Trying to get this so I can share it. This is not really doing well. Hold on. Let me do something different here to see if I can bring this up where it's a little bit louder for you. Technology again. All right, let's see. Because it can, if you're on YouTube, Rumble, all of those that are going through that streaming, it would hear it fine. It's those trying to come through for free conference call and Telegram that aren't going to get that. So we'll just do it this way. I don't know how else to get it louder for y'all. I'm working to get it louder, guys. Hold on. I apologize. This very case is an illustration here of a supply for an ordinary act. Judges do not agree about the issue. Out there to get student project report was not merely a formal one under initial grade. It is the practice of constitution for a to consider whether a fact considered. The presentation of the
petition brings before the court at the outset of the merits to a certain extent of the whole case. That was the course pursued in Williams' case and Rex v. Ennis and reference in T.W. Black's. In the case of the 3 Spanish sailors, and then this part is a reference to this part, so or in Hobhouse's case, and then the next reference is to Marnell and Albertson, one student's case, and First Johnson's cases, whether he's sick, and in Ferguson's case, 9 Article 239, and then support in Watson's case, and where the disposition of the case turned upon the point whether if the writ were issued, the petitioner would be remanded upon the facts here. There may indeed be cases where only one part can appear that are at first and must always remain at first. Here, however, there were in fact 2 parts before the be it remembered that on the 10th day of May, 1865, with the judges, comes Jonathan W. Borden, Esquire, counsel for Sesame, files here in open court the petition of the charge. At the same time, that author, John B. Tanner, Esquire, and thereupon, by agreement, this application was submitted to the court and made and voted. The next day, the case came on again. The certificate was made. Went back and forth. This case had all the solemnity which 2 parties could give it. The government came into court, submitted the case in Indiana for the very purpose of having it brought to Washington. A still addition objection made to the jurisdiction of the court, but no questions certified except those which were not trial. The answer is first that there has been a trial in the proper sense out of the applicable case. The facts are all termed and not variant. The case has been heard upon the petition and if that contained all that needs to be known or could be done. The practice is not peculiar to Habeas Corpus. It is the same on application for mandamus or for attachments in cases of contempt. In both which cases, the court sometimes hears the whole amendment of the first motion, sometimes postpones it until formal pleadings are put in. In either case, the result is the same. But secondly, if we're not so, is it correct to say that a certificate can only be made upon a trial? To sustain this position, counsel refers to the case of Davis v. Burns, 7 Peters 289. But that case expressly reserves the question. It is admitted that the question of jurisdiction is the question certified. The question insisted upon is that no question can be certified unless it arose upon the trial or be a question of jurisdiction. This is a question of jurisdiction. It's the question of the jurisdiction of the circuit court to grant the writ of habeas corpus to deliberate consent, and that question brings up all the other questions in the past. Yet another objection to the jurisdiction of this court is that a case must be one in which the answer to the question when shall be won. That's the question of the what does that mean? Does it mean that the same thing can never be debated again? Certainly not. It means that the decision shall be final for the 2 judges to certify the difference of opinion, so that when the answer goes down from this court, they shall act according to its order, as if they had been decided the same way. Another objection to the jurisdiction of the court is the whole case is certified. The answer is that no question is certified except those which actually arose before the court at the time, and without considering which it would not at all. That is the first. Second is that if too much is certified, the court will divide the questions made into only those which it finds to be properly certified, as it is the Solomon v. Hudson River Bridge Company. The last protection to the jurisdiction of the court is the state's sentence of service, which is presumed that these unfortunate men have been presumed that any executive officer of this country, though he arrogated to himself all the power, would venture to put to death 3 men claim that they are justly convicted, and whose case is considered of such gravity by the Circuit Court of the United States, certifies the question to the court. The question is disrespectful to the executive, and I'm glad that the executive has no foundation in fact. All the objections then are answered. There is nothing then in the way of proceeding. Second part of the merit and peace questions. The argument on the question naturally divides itself. First, was the military commission a competent tribunal for the trial of the charge? Second, if it was not a competent tribunal, would the petitioner be released by the Circuit Court of the United States, which is in Indiana, upon certain courses or others? The discussion of the competency of the military commission is currently because if the petitioner is involved in trying to convict it, it is useful to inquire how it could be from a prisoner. If, on the other hand, the tribunal was incompetent in conviction of the sentence, then the means of relief becomes subject to inquiry and involved upon the consideration. 1. Does the power of suspending the privileges of meditating advocate to all the great departments of government concurrently, or to some only, and which of them? If the power is concurrent, can its exercise by the executive or judicial department be restrained or regulated by acts of Congress? 3. If the power appertains to constitutional whereas Congress may control its exercise by the other departments, has that right so exercised its functions as to leave it to the petitioner the privilege of the writ or to entitle them to their discharge? In considering the first question, that if the competency of the military tribunal for trial of the petitioner on those charges, let me first call attention to the date of the transaction. Let it be observed next that for the same offenses as those set forth in the charges of specification, the petitioner could have been tried and punished by the ordinary civil tribunal. Let it also be remembered that Indiana, at the time of this trial, was the peace of state. The courts were all open, their processes had not been interrupted, the laws had their full play. Then let it be remembered, petitioners were simple citizens, not belonging to any to the Army or Navy, not in any official position, not connected in any manner with the public service. The evidence against them is not to be found in this record, and it is immaterial. Their guilt or their innocence does not affect the question of the competency of the tribunal by which they were judged. Bearing in mind, therefore, the nature of the charges at the time of the trial and sentence, bearing in mind also the presence and undisputed authority of the civil tribunals and the civil condition of the petitioners, we ask by what authority they were withdrawn from their natural judgments. What is a military commission? Originally, it appears to have been an advisory board of officers, convened for the purpose of informing the conscience of the commanding officer in cases where he might act for himself. General Scott resorted to it in Mexico for its assistance in governing conquering places. The first mention of it in an act of Congress appears to have been in the Act of July 22nd, 1861, where the general commanding a separate department or detached army was authorized to appoint a military force or commission of not less than three, or more than 5 officers, to examine the qualifications and conduct of commissioned officers of volunteers. Subsequently, military commissions are mentioned in 4 acts of Congress, but in none of them is any provision made for their organization, regulation, or jurisdiction. Further than that, it is declared that in time of war or rebellion, spies may be tried by a general court-martial or military commission. That, quote, persons who are in the military service of the United States and subject to the Articles of War, may also be tried by the same for murder and certain other things. These acts do not confer upon military commissions jurisdiction over any persons other than those in the military service and spies. There being then no act of Congress for the establishment of the commission, it depended entirely upon the executive will for its creation and support. This brings up the true question now for the court. Has the President in time of war, upon his own mere will and judgment, the power to bring before his military officers any person in the land and subject him to a trial and punishment, even to death? The proposition is stated in this form. It really amounts to this. If the President has this awful power, whence does he derive it? He can exercise no authority whatever but that which the Constitution of the country gives him. Our system knows no authority beyond or above the law. May therefore dismiss from among us every thought of the presidents having any prerogative as representative of the people or as interpreter of popular will. He's elected by the people to perform those functions and those only which the Constitution of this country and the laws made pursuant to that Constitution confer. The plan of argument which I propose is first to examine the text of the Constitution. That instrument, framed with the greatest deliberation after 13 years' experience of war and peace, should be accepted as the authentic and final expression of the public judgment regarding that portion of scope of government, those guarantees and rights, which legal science, political philosophy, and the experience of previous times had taught as the safest and most perfect. All attempts to explain it away or to evade or pervert it should be discounted and resisted. Beyond the line of such an argument, everything else ought in strictness to be superfluous. But I shall endeavor to show further the theory of our government for which I am contending is the only one compatible with civil liberty, and by what I may call historical. But this theory is as old as the nation and in the constitutional monarchies of England and France. That notion of executive power, which would uphold military commissions, like the ones against which I'm speaking, has never been admitted. What are the powers and the attributes of the presidential office? They're written in the second article of the Constitution. So far as they relate to the present question, they are these. He is vested with the, quote, executive power, end quote. He is, quote, commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called into actual service of the United States, end quote. He is to, quote, take care that the law must be faithfully executed. And he takes his oath, quote, I solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, end quote. The quote, executive power, end quote, mentioned in the Constitution is the executive power of the United States. The president is not clothed with the executive power of the states. He is not clothed with any executive power except as he is specifically directed by some other part of the Constitution or by an act of Congress. He is to, quote, take care that the laws be faithfully executed. He is to execute the laws by the means and in the manner which the laws themselves prescribe. The oath of office cannot be considered as a grant of power. Its effect is merely to superadd a religious sanction to what would otherwise be his official duty and to bind his conscience against any attempt to usurp power or overthrow the Constitution. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end here.
All right.
Turn this down.
Okay. All right. Get this changed. Get back to the presentation. When I upload this, I will put, this is the link that is for the print document itself, but I'll go ahead and add a link that is to the folder for each of the recordings as well. So we're going to go ahead and zip through this. You'll be able to read through this. We've been through this a few times anyway, and so we can, for essence of time here, get things wrapped up. That was all that we needed to address for this evening. Here again is the different offices that are open now that are needed, that we need to fill, and whether as an ASN or ASC, and more details at this link here as to what the different roles are, as well as here. Here are Anna's articles from the last week, so that you can be able to have those in one place. Or those are, yeah. This run here is all of last week, so you can click on any of these links to go straight to the article, or you can see there at AnnaVonRights.com. Here are links to the documents of using to be able to support you with legal cases involving money, the sole survivorship template, as well as is in that high drive link earlier with the disclaimer and notices and things all in that folder. All right, so U.S. Customs Border, this is the militia segment here. U.S. Customs Border supports 100 air miles in of the border, includes all of Michigan and up through this line, from what I gather from their website based on the map, as to the counties that the 100 air mile border involves. So those counties with the line going through it and north. If you think your county sheriff is constitutional, you know, they may not be land and soil jurisdiction armored up yet, or anything like that, but you know they're constitutional. Get their contact information to straight to Joe. He's the executive director of the Peacekeeping Task Force for the Federation, as well as he is our Postal Area 4 Chief for Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and Michigan. And connect with him, and he can be able to go to those sheriffs and talk to them to see and how to be able to work together to support that. If you don't think your sheriff is, then we need to find somebody on your county that is willing to step up, willing to take care of present the paperwork necessary, and then start supporting with Joe to be able to help support those counties that are going to get barraged more with customs. Okay, so anything you can do to be able to help in that area, that in your counties, you're on it, right? Start doing like I think it was the movie Stripes with Bill Murray, where they something, the commanding officer ordered for volunteers for something, and everybody stepped back except for Bill Murray and I think one other. And so we're going to just start volunteering people, but it means you got to start helping, start supporting, right? We need one assembly member, ASN, that's presented to the assembly that is willing to, for their part of supporting the assembly, willing to go to meet with Joe to be able to support being that liaison, bringing forth things that are going on Indiana, as well as bringing back to the assembly what's going on from the federation level, and that means also being able to attend the assembly calls so you can be able to present that information. Here's the medbed information. It has address, phone number, website, so you can learn more about it. If you're wanting to support a medbed here on Indiana, here's a link that you can donate directly. Here's a large part of the links. Again, most of the links are on Linktree. Again, all gifts are welcome, even if it's for goods and services. They're all welcome, they're non-refundable, and all benefits waived. All right, so that was all I had for this evening. A reminder that next week, Monday the 17th, is General Assembly, and then the 24th is the next Jural Assembly, both 6 p.m. Central. Reminder that Sunday is Father's Day. Make sure, regardless, we need to start bringing change, peace, and harmony. So come to forgiveness within yourself of what role you may have played if there's been some disagreement, or and what your role you played if there has been where you've been connecting and you have had a great relationship. Whatever it is, come together more now in this time, and remember that regardless that you still had to have a father to come into this world to be able to support you. And if you don't have your father anymore, send prayers and love, and then also, of course, to our Creator, right? Can't forget our Creator. All right. So I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. I think I didn't have anybody else responding. Okay. Many have a hard time wanting to respond as to where they are, but come forward so that we can all start getting to know each other, right? That's the best way that we can be able to help each other, right? You've got to be able to come forward and start. You want others to trust you. You have to be trustworthy as well. And it's about coming together, being united. It's not the whole point of they're trying to do the division, right? That's the whole thing, is that they're doing that division. And as long as we're all part of that, right? As long as we tap into that and say, oh, I'm not going to connect with them, I'm not going to talk with them, I'm afraid somebody might see, well, then you're not coming together to be able to bring actual changes. Because while it's great that you need to have that time, you need to have that going down deep and getting into the knowledge and taking it in and figuring out how it works for you and everything, but you still then have to apply it and actually start using it. And it really then it can start helping you as well when you're also sharing it with others, right? Okay, I want to wish you all peace and love, and again, happy Father's Day next week for Sunday, because we'll be meeting on Monday. I wish you all peace and love. Have a great evening. Take care.